9.
And action.
Please welcome Mr. Red Wemette.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Hello, folks. Here we are, August 28th, 2023. And we have Joe Solozzi with us.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome
Hey there,
to
how you
the
doing?
Red Wemette Show. Great, Red. Great. Feel great today. It's another
good.
day in paradise. Yeah. But, just as I told you, I was supposed to use my son's, the other room where it's light and right. So we planned this off for 3 days, right? And then I went to knock on his door with his girlfriend. He goes, I told you there's no mic. Red, that's horrible. I mean, earlier today, he took my last cigarette, whatever, not a big deal. And I told him 3 times, I said, Red expects a little professionalism, right? I said, so can you make sure? Yes, no problem. I said, when you told me at 20 minutes to 4, we're on. I said, okay. I walked over to his door. I said, I'm ready to come in. He goes, what do you mean come in? I told you there's no mic. I go, wow. I said, there's no mic. My phone has a mic. What do you mean no mic? He goes, no. So that started it. So I'm on this phone and actually in my room. But, I guess it's okay. Looks like I'm at a disco.
You should have swapped rooms on it earlier.
Well, he wouldn't let me go. That whole computer system, I bought it for him. I mean, it's nice. It's got a big setup like you probably got. I don't have that. I had one downstairs. My other son broke his. He took that one out of here. So they're just animals in a way. Sort of.
Hi, Julie. How you doing?
Julie. Oh, I got a lot of women here today. Here, Joe,
Catherine,
hello.
how you
Hi,
doing?
Catherine. That's wonderful. There's Tim. Hi, Tim.
Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Now, should I say hello?
Let's get to the show here. Magnum
Okay.
P.I, 1981.
Episode 12, right?
12. Right.
Yeah. We talk about that picture. Well, it was taken right around the same time where they were doing that series. Now, I didn't know that Michael was on there once in a while as an FBI, as a marshal or something, like played a police officer.
I think he played a U.S. Marshal.
Well, U.S. Marshal. Well, police officer, right. And he was on it, here and there. And obviously because of Larry Manetti from Chicago and Bob Conrad from Chicago. Hey, Kizzy Cat.
Hi, Kizzy Cat. How you doing, dude?
But, so when, this was new to my dad. When Michael brought my dad to Hawaii, okay, and with Larry Manetti, you saw the picture, and Michael and everything. That was the first time they were out there. And I believe Michael was on the set too. There, he was in that. So my brother, I don't know what. It's funny. I don't know what which one my brother's on. He was on one time, and Magnum P.I. But
Joe,
my dad.
I saw that episode with Michael.
Yeah, he walks. I saw it. But he's got a little part. Of course, those little parts. There's not much going on in it. What is that? An hour? Was Magnum P.I. an hour back then?
Yes, it was. But I'll tell you what, Tom Selleck took up most of it.
Yeah. What was it? 10 years they had Magnum P.I.
I think so, Joe.
Yeah, it was the 80s.
Oh yeah,
it was the 80s for sure. And I think he produced the show too. But Larry, when Larry came into Chicago in that picture. Larry would come at Hoagie's, and then my dad was there, obviously, weekends to start it. But I was telling you earlier, at Hoagie's, Al Mio's wife, the old man's wife, was the cook at Hoagie's. She was the cook who got my dad originally to come and talk to Michael, about my brother Nicky. That's how it started in the late 70s. But when back then they asked me, I forgot to tell you that if I want to be on there, because they're all flying out there. My dad says, you want to come out for the 3-4 days? They'll put your little scene in there. You know, like maybe sitting down at a table, you know, whatever. I'd expect anything, little scene. So I said, no, I don't want to fly all the way to California and Hawaii for all that. You know, I just didn't want to do it. But
It
when
was too much trouble.
well, you know what? I was never, you know, was I a fan of this show? A little bit. I like the Dobermans. Remember the dogs?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember that, and I did like it. It was interesting. But
I'm trying to think, wasn't it Zeus? He had one dog named Zeus.
yeah, that's what my dog's name was, Zeus too. I think I named it after the Doberman too. I think I had Dobermans back in then. I think I named it after that. But with Larry Manetti, I did sit with Larry over there. I was at that place. I was there when they took that picture. I just never was in any pictures, as you notice. I mean, I was in the pictures of like charity events and my dad's stuff, but not in like little pictures like my brother's in. Those like pictures like Bob Conrad and Larry Manetti. But I hung with Larry Manetti for, let's just say this. Every time he came in, up to when the brothers went, I would say, you know, a lot. He knew me by first name. And then 10 years later, I didn't see him. He's at the Capri restaurant or Giannotti's. And I walked up to him. He did not know who I was. I said, hey, Larry.
Oh, he
goes,
says so many
yeah.
people.
I know, but my brother, you know, I thought he remembered me, you know. I mean, I was there
Zeus
enough
and
times.
Apollo. The dogs were Zeus and Apollo, says Jim Jager.
Yeah. That was. I think that program actually made Dobermans famous. You know,
it did. I had those before the program started. I had those before the program started.
Remember the Doberman gang?
I was just. Oh yeah, I do. Remember, I was just reading an article today in Mike Burns' room, which was the Outfit Past and Present News articles, and boy, the news really screwed it up. They said Wemette was known to walk. He owned many guns, and he used to walk out with attack-trained Dobermans.
Really?
I saw that, today in his room, and I just burst out laughing. I said the news was half right.
Yeah,
they said I was in witness protection too.
Yeah, and I think Larry Manetti was friends with Michael from Chicago because he was. They're on the same age. Yeah. But,
I saw him. I saw Manetti at the Bird's Nest on Wells Street. It was owned by Billy Kent, but everybody hung out there. Spiloroto hung out there. I mean, all the mob guys hung out there.
Where was that exactly? Where was it on?
It was
I remember
next to
that.
the currency exchange on Division and Wells.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It used to be on Burton Place. It used to be on Burton Place on Burton and Wells, and then he moved down the street. He built a building down there.
Yeah, that's I remember that. Yeah. I mean, the last time I saw Larry Manetti outside was at his wake, was at the boys' wake. Bob Conrad drove up in his old T-Bird, his 56 T-Bird convertible, pulled right up to the outside, and he was there, and Larry Manetti was there, but I didn't see anybody else of that group, acting group. But at that point, Bob Conrad, he never went out to Vegas. That was my brother when he saw Tony. But Larry Manetti did. Larry Manetti would visit Tony. And Michael.
Yes, he would.
You know, Michael would go out there. He would visit him. Yeah.
I avoided old pictures in those days. There were no selfies with me in them.
Yeah. I mean, you were in it. You were around and doing business in that era when it was strong, like very strong.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, you actually were like, I don't think anybody can open up any kind of place like that without first having somebody with them. Number one.
That was it. If you didn't have somebody with you, they were going to take half of you.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, yeah. And that wasn't based on your gross, was it? Revenue?
No. As a matter of fact, we made a deal for cash. I used to split the peep shows in the back. That's all.
Yeah.
None of the merchandise up in front. And my first count, I made $1,000. So Marshall Cafano said to me, "Give me half of the 1,000." So he said, "I don't care if you make $1 or you make $1 million. I want $500 a week." And I said, "No problem." Well, that was the first count. The business grew and grew and grew, and I was making a lot of money. But he never asked me for any more. He kept his word.
But were those?
How I ran the show.
How you doing? Question on those peep shows. You see them in the movies where there's a girl in the middle and everybody watches. That's not though. Those are peep shows are videos, right?
Mine were porn films. That's all.
But do they have those, or is that all movie stuff? Like New York with.
I had them in. They all ran on VHS tapes, and I could take a tape out from where I sold actual tapes and put another one in, take it out, and then there was 18 channels to watch. So you had a selection of 18 different movies you could watch. One.
Yeah, you were in it when they got like movie stars that did porn before they were big, and I see some fake stuff that was out there back then. Like there's about 5 or 6 names. They mentioned this person and that woman, and you could see that they were in, but I don't know how true some of that stuff was. Like Barbara Streisand when she was 18 years old, I don't know, and then Jane Kennedy.
Have any of that. The only one I came close to putting in when I had silent films was Sylvester Stallone. He was billed as the Italian Stallion.
Yeah.
And I made a copy of it, and I ran it, but it didn't do too well. It really didn't do well at all. Big Mo,
they
good to
changed
see
the name.
you too, buddy. Very good to see you.
Big Mo. But they changed the name of that Italian Stallion, didn't they? It was because he did it right before Rocky.
They bought every copy up. They went out on the streets and bought everything they could. The studios did.
Yeah. You want on that subject.
Like 18, 19.
And you know what? You just reminded me. Remember I talked about it? When I was like about 18 years old, this is before my brother went to Hollywood. He's still at college in Marquette. I'm selling cars, and this guy, I can say his name, Bradley Roberts from Roberts Construction comes in. And he's talking to me, and he goes, "I'm going out to California in a couple weeks. I know Bo Derek and John Derek." Okay? John Derek was in the Ten Commandments, old-time guy, big in the 50s. Bo Derek was 14 years old or 15 years old when they met, and they stayed in Mexico. So he says to me, "Why don't you come out there? I could put you in the movie." Now, remember, 10 just came out, the movie 10. And Dudley Moore's in it. It blew up. And she's in that cornrow she has, and doesn't have many words, but it's blown up. So I didn't know the whole situation, and it is funny. So he talks to my dad. My dad calls Larry, my future brother-in-law, big 6'4", big guy, Larry, and he goes, go with Joey to California. And Bradley's talking. The guy owns construction business, Roberts Construction. But Larry's like, "Oh, I don't know about this." So I get pictures. We go to Hollywood, right? And this is weird. And then we went to Vegas afterwards. We go to Hollywood, and Larry don't believe the guy. He doesn't believe him. And then he says to me, he goes, "Now," he says, "they're going to be downstairs at 7:30 in the lobby. Bo Derek and John Derek." I says, "I still don't believe it." So anyways, he calls me. They're here. We get down there. Must have been 200 people. Reporters, like, who knows? Back then, it's right after 10 came out, and now her real name is Kathleen Collins or something like that. I would say, so we go in the bar. I was shocked. Well, I hear them talking like business, and here's what they did. John Derek and Bo Derek lent their name. They weren't in it to a porno called "Loving You" with Annette Haven was the name. Now they weren't in it. They produced it with the guy. Right? Here's what happened. 10 came out. They said, "We don't want our name associated with it." He goes, "Wait a minute. I paid for the guy financed the porn." Annette Haven was like the Seika back she was the girl next door. And he goes, "Well, I got over 100,000 in this video or whatever." And, but he still needed their signature to sell it, right? He still needed their agreement. So now, what's that?
He wanted to use their names.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's right. Their names were on him already, but they wanted to take it off. They were meeting him, and he was meeting them to take the name off. He wanted to get his money or whatever. And so I'm sitting there, and now they turn to me after a little discussion, and he goes, I want to put him in the movie. And he goes, I show my black and white pictures. I don't know, whatever I had. He says to me, he goes, okay. He said, well, why don't you come out here and we'll get acting lessons. You can stay with us or stay down the street. But this guy, Bradley, knew them for a long time, whatever, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to move. I'd have to move out there and commit to it. Well, Larry, my brother-in-law, future brother-in-law, says to him, of all things, he tells him, he goes, now he calls him John, which I thought his name, he goes, now remember, this guy was married to 3 beautiful women, Linda Evans, Ursula Andress, and Bo Derek, right? So that was his ex-wives. He goes like this. Yeah. He goes like this to Larry. He goes, John, let's be honest here. He goes, because of your connections in Hollywood, you got her that part, the movie 10. And now he goes like this. I'll never forget this. I was shocked. He goes, Larry, did you see the acting in that movie? Do you see what kind of actor she's become? And I didn't want to say that, but there's no acting in it. Okay, none whatsoever. Beautiful. It was an offshot comedy with Dudley. Dudley Moore carried the movie. Let's be honest. He was funny. Little guy, Arthur. The guy who played Arthur. He was in there. Yeah. So he goes like this, and now they're going back and forth. And I'm like, Larry, here goes my chance of winning an Academy Award. Who knows? So he goes like this. I go. He goes, connection is a big thing, but you have to have talent. She turns to me now. She's sitting next to me, Larry and John's across. We're in the Holiday Inn, the bar in Hollywood. And he goes like this. She says, you're from Chicago, right? And I go, yeah, of course. Now she must be 21 now, 22 years old. She says, my sister does the Jordache commercials. Jordache. And she's coming to Chicago next month or a month and a half. Would you mind showing her around? Make her feel comfortable? I said, absolutely. Now, I knew who her sister was. I mean, she was doing the commercials or she was reshooting again in Chicago. And I go, absolutely. Now, I think her name was Kathleen Collins or it's Collins, the real name. And Bo is just whatever that's made up or Hollywood. So I got excited about that with her sister. Now, they leave. They leave me with these 2 people. Larry and Bradley go get Mexican food. They went to a place, and they leave me with these 2. And I'm talking to them, really nice. As I'm leaving, I'm walking to the door. He goes, do you have the negatives in that camera? He said, here's what he tells me. He says, if I could trust you, Joe, call me Joe. I felt like I was important. He said, if I could trust you, Joe, would you send them to me, please? Because, she's a big star now, as you can see out here. Look, Joe. Hey, I saw it. Okay, I did. I mean, I felt important because they put a rope around us where we sat, so nobody could ask him for their autograph. I swear, it was like a 10-foot around, not like we're in a corner,
like a theater rope.
There you go, exactly. And let me tell you what, I felt like. Look at the people when they left. I had people all around me. Like, who are you? And here's what I said to them. I said, well, obviously, that's Bo Derek. I said. They're coming out a new movie, Me, Tarzan, You, Jane. Remember? Miles O'Keefe starred in it. Miles O'Keefe. The part I was going to get in there is about a 4th or 5th little part with a few lines in the corner. Nothing like major, but I would have got a little part in it. Probably the same part my brother gave me in that movie, something like that.
It's a walk-on.
Yeah, right. But here it gets better. They were only going to help me because they're trying to get Bradley's cooperation on the movie. Do you understand? So they're trying to, he says, I want you to make this guy a star. Would make me a star. Star for what? I was like confused. I wasn't about being a star. That wasn't my dream. But he goes, well, I figured that those 2 people, and you probably agree with me, probably went along with Bradley because of the movie, because he says, I'm going to put it out. So they're trying to get his cooperation, right? So he's using me. If you do this for me, well, here's what happens. Larry leaves, and he takes him to the worst part. John Derek, Bo Derek left. Larry, I'm waiting for Larry to get back. He comes back screaming. He goes, you're not gonna believe what happened. He said, Bradley's got a rental car. He's doing 100 miles an hour down wherever we're going. Larry was scared to death. This is around 10, 11 o'clock. They pull into a Mexican like a little building out. You have to from the outside for food, like a little he said it looked like a dump, a trailer, right? Well, you pulled up. There's a line about 20 people. He's so screwed up, this guy. He pushes the guy in front. The guy's robbing the place by gun. Bradley didn't know that. He's drunk. He pushed him out, like, get out of the way. And he leaves. The guy leaves. And the lady goes, oh, my God, we're being armed robbery. He goes, what? Larry's like, what? Yeah, the guy was trying to rob us. Larry goes, oh, my God. So they bought him burritos, right? So they come back. Larry tells me the whole story. So here's what happens. The next morning, we go to the video place to make copies of the tape, of the main tape. He's making copies of it behind their back. I go, I'm a pawn. Well, I don't think he had any reason for him. Yeah, right. I don't think there's any reason for me to be part of anything. Now I know what he was doing. So we walk into the video place. He trips and falls because he's drinking and he's diabetic. Insulin. Back then he was shooting insulin, right? It was before. This is April of 79. April something of 79, I think it was, or 80. It was maybe 80. No, it was 80 because it was 1980. He falls in the middle of the room and smashes on a glass cocktail table. It was, oh my God. He tripped, fell right in the middle of the place, and lucky to cut himself. Yeah, it broke the whole thing. And this guy's about 6'2". Yeah, Larry's like pulls him up because we got to get out of here. So we're waiting. They fix everything up. He's making copies at this video place. Not like when I say video, like where they record music or record whatever. He's got the master copy and he's making a copy. He goes to me, Larry, he goes, I'm selling this on the black market, which you probably, on the black market, and I'm putting Bo Derek and John Derek's name. If you Google that, it's out there somewhere. I used to
get a lot of black market films.
Yeah. But the way it looks,
I used to get a lot of black market films and I'd sell them.
But the way it looks like John Derek and Bo Derek are on it, but they're not. No. It makes it look like they're in the film. They're producing it. And I can understand her, I can understand their feelings about it. Hey, Red, her sister called me that she's coming to Chicago, Bo Derek's sister, right? And we talked. She never came in. They didn't do the shoot, but I talked on the phone. Very, very nice and very, remember, he I don't know how popular he was with their family because she was 15 years old, still married to Linda Evans, and he was worried about coming back over the state line. But then he did when she was 18 years old, whatever. But Bradley, this was at the time when, I was going into, well, I did go to California once. I went to Hawaii back then too, but I didn't go for the movie set. I went for something else. And, but that was back from 80 to 85. And that's back when, the movie, well, was it Casino? That skimming started when they find out, 81? Yeah.
No,
when were they indicted?
What year it was. Let me look.
They went away in 86.
I'll look.
86.
Movie. 1995. Joe?
Was it 95? What? No, 85, right. 85.
95.
Is when they got out.
It's when it was released in 1995. Casino.
Yeah. I'm laughing because you're talking about
I was living
back
in
then.
Palm Beach then.
Yeah.
I was living in Palm Beach then, and I remember Rosenthal. He lived in Boca Raton, and he called into the news and everything. He had news reporters, and he had 5 acres on his estate, and a beautiful estate in Boca Raton. And he called in on the news, and they had news reporters out there and everything else. And he walks out on the porch wearing a robe, pajamas, and a cigarette holder with a big cigarette. And he's talking to all the press and everything while the movie was released that night. So yeah. I stayed and I talked to him afterwards, after everybody was gone. But there was a crowd there like you can't imagine.
So my thing is, so Frank Collada and Lefty had to work together.
No, Lefty never went on the set.
No, but he was,
and he got paid 4 times the amount that Collada did.
Was he narrating it? That was his side, right? That was his viewpoint.
De Niro narrated it. He just gave his facts.
No, but as his character. He narrated as his character, I mean.
No.
lefty.
As a matter of fact, he used to say in interviews, I heard him say that it was way off accurate. It wasn't that accurate.
Well, no, but still, the whole idea was a skimming Chicago, the Joe Pesci character that looked like Tony a little bit, right? I mean, there was the whole premise, right? Why didn't they use the names?
I don't know. In the beginning, when he's stabbing the guy with the pen, that never happened in the casino. That didn't happen.
I wonder why my brother could use Michael. Wonder why my brother can use Michael and Tony's name, Spiloroto, for legitimate wise guy. Is that because of Tony's son or Michael's son got permission?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's using their names. My dad didn't necessarily like using his name. That my dad didn't like.
His son passed away, so.
Yeah. How old is he? 40s?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was, 10 years old in that movie? 7 and 90. Yeah. He's probably my age, probably 55, right? 54? Probably close to that. Yeah.
He's dead, so I don't know.
He did die. I saw him on an interview because he was producing that with my brother Nick. So he must have died, right? That's probably what happened. Yeah, because his name was on there as co-producer.
He was into drugs, very heavy. Very heavy into drugs. Oh, yeah.
You saw him in the interview, right? Channel 2. They had him about 4 or 5 years, or I don't know how long ago. He sounded a little slow. Like, not if I'm not a psychologist or a doctor. I'm not trying to dig the guy. But honestly, he sounded like he was like, not Rain Man, but something like that. Like he was like a little slow. And I don't know. I mean,
up on drugs.
maybe, yeah. That's what, I guess. Well, look at the way I looked when I first came on. You think I was on crack or something, and it's like,
there were
talk.
Comments, Joe. There were a few comments.
Well, yeah, slow down. Well, you know what it is? I think you're right. I got excited. And like I told you, I'm not comfortable doing these things, but I can tell you one thing. I won't lie. And if something's on my mind, I'm going to say it, period. Okay. If I'm going to offend somebody, well, guess what? I get offended every day. All I can tell you is when you get the good and the bad, and we're starting to get that because we're unnerving some people. I'm used to that. I expect somebody to say something bad about me because here's how it works. If it's something nice, they have to say in this manner, boy, I can't believe he's a nice person. That's weird. They say that, which means, so they're already predestined that I'm this animal or something, and that's not true. Like I said, I don't understand what jealousy is. And I don't understand what worrying about what people think. I never really thought about jealous. I'm happy for people. I want to make people laugh. I never, you're totally opposite of me. You think things out. You're rational. You're factual. I am, but I'm in outer space, but that's what works, and I think, like most people have a format. You and I do discuss what we're going to go over. And then now, like today, we stayed I've been writing things down. Remember, this is my 5th one, I think, right? I think 5 I did. Yeah. This is our 5th or 6th one together. Yeah. And you're going from a guy that knows nothing. I was in a couple special guests, or you want to call me special asshole for the day for 30 days. Cause all they were asking me about Giancana and all the others. In that idiot Carl, my cousin, bad mouthing me to somebody. Yeah. Here's a relative. And, and here's a guy, and we talked about this before. Okay. When he wore the Giancana on his back, and I hope he's listening. When he wore the Giancana on his back, I said, your name is not Giancana, it's Mano. Okay. So leave it at that. And like I told you, then you know what? I don't want to say nothing because his mother did come to my mother's wake, and his mother and his aunts. They did. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm surprised to see him there, but it was nice.
It's the cousin.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. It's her. She grew up with them. She's let's say she's about the same age. Okay, my mother died 3 years ago. She was 85, 84. So Annette's got to be close to that, something like that. Yeah. And the other,
somebody evidently doesn't like Carl because
yeah, yeah. Somebody said that, Carl. Yeah, fuck him. I'm glad. I don't want to badmouth him, but he went on with that Maselli,
oh yeah,
he called me Maselli.
another nut.
Yeah, right. He called me and I said, dude, you were with Carl, badmouthing, calling my brother, me, and my dad names last year. Not him, but with Carl. I said, let me ask you a question. If my brother did not pay her aunt on Giancana Momo 11 years ago, that one there, let's just say that happened.
His mother was Antoinette, right?
Yeah, and my Antoinette, his grandfather's Mooney. So he goes like this to me. I go, let's just say he didn't. Why would the sister do this project now? Assassination. She's co-producer. Why would she come back and do it again? Worse than that. Why would my mother? Yeah, he's right, weirdo. Yeah, he's cooked. You know what? He's just cooked. Some people are just out there. You know. But think about it, Red. Do you agree with me? Don't you think that my mother would tell me, hey, listen, I got a call from Annette or whoever, one of the sisters, her cousin, Nikki didn't pay him, right? My mother would have told me that. She never said that. And Nikki pays. No. Okay. So why you don't do 27 movies? Now, the only thing's changed right now is the Harvey, Illegitimate Wise Guy. Things changed. Harvey Keitel is getting too old. He's 86 or 87, and they're getting somebody else play my dad.
So they cut.
So that's going to change. Pardon?
Who are they getting? They cut him, Harvey Keitel?
Well, that's a good question. They he has two other people, but remember, the guy's got to look old because he had white hair, my dad. So it can go from any age, from 50 to 70, right? That was back in the 80s. So my dad was in his 50s. So Keitel he would look too old for that time. That's the problem, And maybe Keitel didn't want to do it. Who knows?
Hey, Gabby, how you doing?
Gabby, I like Gabby. So, as you know, I talked to. I don't know if I showed you. He's going to tell me exactly what time and when, and he'll come on. He was just waiting to get exact dates. So, because he knows I'm going to ask him. He knows you're going to ask him questions, Red. He already said that. He goes, I want to make. He wants to make sure he's not stumbling. He prepares himself. So he just wants to make sure that what day they're leaving. It's tentative. It could be sometime in the end of September. See, he's going to go out. He's not directing it. David Mamet's.
Some of our viewers, or two or three, made comments that we're not having the guests on that you talked about. They don't realize that there's a time frame. They don't realize that.
They're right. But I got my dad to call in, which was a big thing.
There's a time frame.
And my brother.
Not sitting at our beck and call.
Well, in all honesty, the two is, remember, when I first got started here, okay, if the movie was starting already, sure, you want to get them on. But, I was sort of like, I didn't know if you want to keep me on here or go on your own channel. Everybody say, get your own channel, do this, do that. That's not how I roll. I don't roll that way. If that's something you didn't want to do or did, I'm a loyal guy. And, it's not about money or it's not about this and that. It's about getting along somebody and having fun at it. But you're right. They're right. But I don't think all I said.
It's about our viewers too.
Yeah, but they're right though.
Viewers,
but go ahead.
I've had the same problems before.
Yeah, but I think probably they're right to extend this. Maybe I should have said approximately. And I may sound like they're coming up next. So maybe that's my energetic and excitement.
You had a lot going in your mind. You were talking a mile a minute.
Well, what do you expect? I felt like I won the lotto being on there. I actually felt like my old man. I was on TV or something. Hey, listen, I expected worse comments. I expected some really bad, like just digging, you stupid, you sound like, I never wanted to be a wise guy. So people say, oh, want to be wise guy. Well, let me just say this. They're probably right in one aspect. If my dad didn't have the business and it was earlier, because by the time I got older, it was over. In other words, 85. I mean, late 20s. It was just about done. But let's just say things were rolling, and my dad was in the car business, and I was just who knows what I'd be. I would like that business, sure. Yeah, I like it because I like the fact that, I'm not saying limited education. I'm not saying being Joe Slosey, I'd like that. I'm just saying if I was in a different situation, different family, sure. And it was around me, it was a street corner, like originally how they came, the gangs, sure, I would love that. Absolutely. If I had my body, my mind.
You can't please everyone. We'll be around when the guests are on.
Well, thanks. You know what?
It's a regular.
Listen, I looked at the views. I mean, I'd say for starting out, I don't know, but all I know is I'm getting a lot of good, and I love the bad too. Come on, right? I used to, before I went on a date with a girl, I would tell her this real nicely. Don't throw my name around, because if you do, a lot of jealous people are going to say stuff. And I was always right. Somebody knew somebody. I did this, and not necessarily. There was no truth to anything. That's the problem. There was no truth because I didn't do anything bad, So,
well, it's so easier. A lot of these guys here, Joe, they have real names, but it's so easy when they have a fake name and they don't have their picture up there or anything. They got a whatever, and I don't know who they are, but it's so easy to type in a comment and make a comment, and it doesn't have to be accurate, and they don't care. They really don't care. But most of the people that come in here they're people that I've known, and some of them that you know that I came in and just joined the channel.
Yeah, well, they like you because the thing that I get is we're opposite. We're totally opposite, you and I, and which is good. You don't want two guys the same, but I didn't want to be an MC. I don't want you're the guy that chooses. I don't want to be like that. I wanted to put some my what do you say? I don't want to be Italian either. Some Italian guy that talks too fast. He wanted to be a wise guy. His brother does movies, and they push him out of the movie business. I don't want to be any of that stuff. So I tried to get the stories. I tried to get them straight before finish the first. We went to Vegas after that. California. I called my dad after Bo Derek and John Derek. She sent me a picture of Hollywood Joe. We went to Vegas, the three of us, and I was there for 2-3 days, and I came home from there. But I never went back to California. But that guy did end up doing selling that thing on that video called "Loving You" with the Net Haven and Bradley's Construction. Robert's Construction. I think he died. The son owns it now. My dad thought maybe he was gay or something. He's hitting on me. He wants to take me to Hollywood. But you know what? It's not good because it's just not good. I don't know. It was a waste of time, I guess. But it was a shot. Did I think he was going to make me a star? Probably not. But I knew when I saw the muscling, when I saw that what was going on. Show guys are interesting. Yeah.
All Chicago guys are interesting cats by Sean Pender.
Yeah. The thing about me is I'm half Sicilian, half Italian. So,
Well, you're 100% Italian.
Well,
just wear them in the boot. That's all.
Yeah, but you listen. I go to these Italian fests. They say on their jacket, "I'm Sicilian, not Italian." I see. I mean, you're right. We're all
Here's
Italian.
A question for you. I think we spoke about this before, Joe. Isn't it?
Yep. Annette Haven. Yeah. Yes. And they used her. Annette Haven back then was a porn, and I don't know why he needed Bo Derek and John Derek's. They weren't in it at all. They just produced it. So how they got into producing a porn? Actually, John Derek was directed. He was actually there. And yeah, he was there. It was his friend that he produced it.
It was a big name. You put a big name on the title. So
yeah,
he's going to buy
Loving
it.
You. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it. Ashlyn Gear did Victim of Desire for my brother. You're talking about Seika. She went straight for a while. She lived with Joe Necca, downtown. And Dottie's her name, Dottie West or Dottie something.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, I met a few of them, but they're just like anything else. remember that girl? I don't know if she's still alive. She was the madam in Chicago that got busted. The blonde. It was what was the guy's name? Do you remember that comedian?
Madam. The Mayflower Madam.
Well, I don't know what I could tell you this. I'll tell you the years it was. It was 79 to 90. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To
she was the
8.
Gold Coast Madam.
Well, listen, what happened? What's that one guy? Bill Farley. Remember Bill Farley, the big heavy set guy?
Right.
She was with him. Well, listen, I was best friends with her. This is true story. I got heat because of it. She bought all her cars for me. Okay, she was a madam. She was a worker. She's smart.
Sean Leaf, Seven Leaf, wants to know what you do for a living.
Right now,
it's a good question. What does Nick Salozzi guy do for a living? Do for work now?
Oh,
Nick Nick is that's Joe's
my dad's retired. Yeah, my brother's in the movie business. My other brother runs a dealership. My son, I'll give you the whole family. My sister's a nurse, and my dad's retired. He's 92 years old, lives in Hinsdale, and I have been retarded for about 10 years. But
But Nick's still producing movies.
My brother is. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he lives in California. Been out there. He was back and forth a couple of times.
His new movies that are coming up.
Yeah, that's right. So, but as far as Nick's, that's right. His name, you could Google Nick Salozzi, and you'll see all his movies. He got 26 he produced, and you'll see the next 5 that he's in production. So obviously, Assassinations first. Legitimate Wise Guy is second, and then I don't know if I told you the movie The Class that they did last year. It's going to be on Tubi next month. Tubi, Tubi, the cable station. So that's good. There. I saw that. I don't know what happened with the Giancana, the first one. Do you know that it was on YouTube and it was over 1 million views? Now he was selling that originally. They made it to sell it. And then it was on YouTube. And I told him about it 6-7 years ago. He probably could have taken that off, right? It's still on there, the full document. How does that work?
They get royalties. They get royalties.
Oh, okay. By putting it on there, I got you. With 1 million views, right? 1 million, probably a lot.
Take 1 million, but if you get 1 million, that's called viral. So that's good.
Yeah. No, I know. But it might make maybe 10 grand on 1 million views. Who knows? But that's what we all do. That's it. Now I got a little solar company I'm doing now, me personally. I raised 4 kids by my ex-wife left back in the day. So I raised 4 kids. So I was handling the kids and did that for until they got older.
Yes, DBQRX3. Adam is doing tours.
What does that mean? Magician tours?
Adam does a mob tour out in Las Vegas. And he does a crime tour. He does a ghost tour. He does a lot of good tours, and they're all good. Every one of them are good. He's himself.
He's eminent. Yeah, he could talk, right? Now, do people do that mafia? I heard that the museum didn't do well. The mob museum. Or is that true?
The mob museum, I don't know how good that does. I don't like the mob museum at all. But his tours are really great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Didn't it close?
Well, he closed during COVID. He had to close. Gabby Rodriguez says, I remember as kids growing up in Chicago watching Joe's father doing a commercial for the dealership. And the phrase was, where you always save more money. Never got old. You're right.
That's true.
Absolutely right.
That's true. Isn't that funny? That there was other dealerships that had jingles, right?
There's so many millions of people that listen to that, and they remember your dad.
Yeah, it's at one time, if you said you're from Chicago, I got to get that ad, though, not that ad, that clipping. They had my dad was number 3, and I'd do the commercial, where you always save more money.
We should have it on the air sometime. If you can get a clip from it.
I got 1 million of them. They're all on YouTube. Yeah, there's 1 million of them.
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to use somebody else's.
You know, I got to send you. I got the Budweiser commercial. They pop out of the. If anybody saw that, they pop out of the gas tank, Budweiser and Nick and Maury. Yeah, you saw the pizza commercial, right, Red? Where you always get great pepperoni, right? Yeah. And then U.S. Cellular with Ernie Banks, Mayor Byrne. You saw that one, right? Wade Mesmer from the Blackhawks that sings the national anthem, and my dad and Maury, U.S. Cellular, and Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub was on there. So they thought, like from 88 to 96, they were between their own commercials. They spent $1 million a month $1 million a year. $1 million a year.
$1 million a month is a lot. That's $12 million a year.
Yeah.
Randy Rhodes. Hey, Red, who do you think had more reach in the outfit or the five families? Well, number one, the five families were like crews in the outfit. And as far as who had more power, I think Tony Accardo. He wielded more power than any New York family. And they never did try to do anything to Chicago, ever.
That's true. Well, what they say, Chicago, at one time, you're right, Chicago was stronger than New York. Even though New York was strong, but there was always fighting between families, right? There's always wars, and we didn't have that in Chicago. That's one thing we didn't have. War between crews, maybe one person died, not guys getting whacked out, the families. You had the conflict between each one.
Mobster Chronicles. Hey, Red, Joe, how you fellas doing? Nice to keep up with you live for a change. Thank you, Mobster Chronicles.
Yeah, see.
I'd like to get you live, but I never can. But I like your content.
you know what we talked about. What I'm going to start doing, though, is I'm going to start pulling some people, and what I'll do so everybody knows, I'll get it. First, I'll get the commitment from the person, and then a week before, 2 weeks before, then I'll hit it and we'll know the time. So it's organized. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to work because I got, listen, I have a lot of guys that I'm not saying they'll do it, but I'm pretty sure they will. And they're not on for the full hour. They're on maybe for a little, wait, for whatever, half hour, whatever it is. And, like as far as like getting like some of my brother's people from there, but that's for sure the movie. It's just a matter of when. And I will give them a date that they can bank on. Otherwise, they all get a brand new Cadillac if I don't do it. Well, yeah, I gotta see that. Hey, they don't show up. 2,000 people are screaming, "Where's my car?" But no, and then I don't know. See, I don't know. I know now what you want. I don't mind. I like to get maybe ex-Governor Ryan on here, maybe for a little bit. He's friends by that. Get some Lee Daniels, the rep. Wherever. Talk about that. We can get Dan Webb. We'll talk about he's like Giuliano. He was the Giuliano of them, right? Back in the day. Yeah. That little bastard. Dan Webb. I get O'Malley, state's attorney. They talk about Chicago. You know how corrupt. I mean, I should say it's corrupt. It's been corrupt forever. So it's not like everybody's shocked.
Roy Munson tuned in from Ireland. And he says, "Hi, lads. Hope all is well. Respect you two."
I love that guy. Sorry. I love that. You know what?
He's a regular
I love
guy.
him. I love him. He's a good guy, amongst the, hey, listen, I always told you got the most loyal, you got a cult going on. Your people look at you like a religion, you and your people. I'm the enemy coming in. It took a while for me to fit in with you. They're pushing me out. Fuck that Joe. I don't like him. I could imagine, think about it, if I really was bad, can you imagine? They would really be on you. If I was, let's say I was mediocre, you'd get it really hard, right? Get rid of that fucking.
I have to tell you, Joe, there was one video. You can look at the video, or I'll send it to you, but on Messenger or something. But there was one video I did with a young man. He was 29 at the time, and he was a mob groupie. He's from Detroit, and I swear, you look at the comments below. Where'd you find this guy? He's on speed. He's on drugs. There's something wrong with him. And believe me, he was just going away. And I was going,
Well, you know what they should listen to? Somebody Red, somebody said, and you're right. Well, think about this. The famous sports guy from Chicago for 20 years, Mike North. He's half Italian, right? Listen to him talk. It's just like me. I was watching him. Oh my God, he interrupts people. He's rude, and he sounds like me. Mike North from the Score. I'm not bragging, but he's got no radio skills, none. I hate to say it, and I sound like him. It's weird. He's like on crack too. Now I know him. I gave him a demo. Obviously, I gave him a demo for 2 years, and you know what happened? That he
90% of people through demos.
Yeah, we know he picked up I don't want to say nothing, but he picked up somebody down there in our demo, a girl.
You told me. You told me.
Yeah,
video. It's Cicero.
Well, no, that wasn't Cicero. That was downtown. That was downtown. But that's here nor there. He was a nice guy. What he did for me, he called me at home when the shit at the fan was all over the radio news. He said, "My boy Joe." They called me. I wasn't expecting it. He goes, "You're going on in 1 minute." The guy from the Score. And I go, "What do you mean I'm going on?"
Roy Munson says, "I know it may be taken up on, but I bought a 3-bedroom house in Sicily. If any of you guys want to vacation it, it's there for you. It's free. Just pay for your own flights."
Well, you know Roy. What? Yeah, I'm gonna actually maybe we'll go. But I'm thinking about it. With him, he called me from the Score and says Joe got fucked. My boy Joe, they went after him, and he's talking about my thing. I didn't want to do that. It's bad enough. It's all over. But I see what he was doing. He's, "Don't worry, you'll be going to Fed camp. You'll be playing tennis. They got pool there. They got a jacuzzi for you." And then he's going the other way, making fun. Like, you're not going to suffer. And I said, "By the way, I'm not going to that. I'm going to boot camp, military boot camp in Lewisburg, Pittsburgh." Okay, we shaved our heads, and it's the same rule as the Army. You had to be 36 and under.
Yeah,
36 and under.
It's called basic training.
Well, and listen to this. You could be a gun charge. It couldn't be nothing bad. It had to be white collar like me. So there was doctors, lawyer, insurance, all guys sold marijuana, all like white collar, right?
Oh, you're
insurance fraud.
Jail, prison.
Yeah, well, no, boot camp. When I was from the military, they told our thing in front of everybody.
Prison sentence.
Yeah, it would have been 21 months. It would have been 21 months.
We got a question for you, Joe. Mobster Chronicle says, "Joe, did you or your father know Joe G.I.R.?"
Yeah, Joe Girard is the #1 salesman in the United States for Chevrolet. He sold over 1,000 cars a year. I met him personally in Detroit.
Yes.
Let me give you a little heads up about the guy. Brilliant. Great question. Thank you. Great question. I went to a dealer son school in Detroit, okay, at GM, okay? And Joe Girard was the guy giving a class. He came as a special guest for the week, right? This was 1980, early 80s, okay? And he came back. He wrote that book. He wrote a book, Chevrolet, I'm the #1, whatever. Let me tell you what his tactics were. Brilliant. Every time he paid a bill, wrote a check, he put his business card in with the bill, in the envelope with the electric company. He put his business card. He'd go to a Detroit game and a home run. He would take like 30, 40 of his business card, each one, throw them in there, yay. And all these cards be flying all over, landing on people's heads. He did that.
Somebody's got to pick him up.
That's right. He would make a phone call in a phone booth. The plastic. The plastic that's on the thing. He would shove his card in the plastic between the, that shows, A, B, C, D. He would shove that in there.
He was a real go-getter.
Well, you want to know one better? He was a small class. Like, I was with all dealer sons in the United States. One guy's from Texas. His dad owned 20 dealerships, the biggest limousine service. Guy in California, a guy in New York. So they're all dealer groups. Okay. So my dad sent me there to get certified. I had to be certified to get a dealership. So I was certified as far as working there, but then I could be certified by the book end of it, right? And he was the guy that gave the class, and I had a book signed by him, Joe Girard. But let me tell you, on a Saturday.
Monster Chronicle says 1,425 cars in 1973, and that was before the internet, cell phones, fax machines, email. There was none of that then.
No, but let me tell you what he did.
1,425 cars in 1973. That was pretty good.
Well, you know what he had though, Red? Which he earned it. He had a secretary and he had an assistant. He told me. I said, "How could you sell that?" He goes, "I had to. They gave it to me at dealership." He goes, "Of course." He'd have somebody help deliver the car. So I mean, I would give him too with those kind of cars. He go to churches. He was brilliant. The guy was short, brilliant guy. He was.
Roy Munson wants to know what's your dad's view on the push for electric cars.
Oh, you know, it's funny. We just talked about that. Okay, here's what his view is. Okay. Making the deal, making the manufacturer, or not making them, but giving them incentives to build electric cars. That's what they're doing. The government is giving the manufacturer, GM, Volkswagen, whoever, money to produce more electric cars if they're 70%. Well, Volkswagen said by the time 2030, there'll be all electric cars. Chevrolet, GM. Now, I don't know. My dad said that's not good because, okay, they'll have the charging facilities or you'll have it at your house. But here's the problem, Red. The technology for electric car, just like my hybrid, okay, if you took the hybrid out of my car or took the technology out of the, it's 20 grand less, 10 grand less. So to make up for that difference, Red, you have to drive the car for 12 years to get that money, you know, but you spend more.
Time it's going to be beat up and you're going to need new batteries.
Right. So you're not buying that to save money. You're buying that for EPA, you know, that's what you're doing, going green. You're not going to save money. And they charge you, Red. It's to charge your car. Now they got a little bit better. I think for 15 minutes, you get 30-minute charge, or you get a half tank charge for 15, something like that. But it's like $15, the gas stations. Now Tesla, the first 500 Teslas sold in the United States were free charging forever. You got the card. And as of last month, it was most places, there's 30% more charging stations. And if you want to put one at your house, it's $1,500 to put to run the electric, the amp.
No, because I ran mine in. I just used it off the dryer.
Well, then it'll take forever then. You can do that, but this is it's their charging station, and guess what? It's faster and everything else, and it burns less. So yeah, you could do that, of course. You know, you can do that. But in his case, we did that for the guy that owned the solar company. He had an electric car, Red, and he did like you did, or whatever. He ran just a regular thing, plugged it in, and it would take all night. So they put the actual charging system.
Mine doesn't take all night. It takes like 6 hours.
You have a Tesla?
The problem is when you charge it with half a charge, you never get 100%. You only get 92% or something like that.
Well, that's good.
Bob Sir Crackle says he was my mom's cousin. He died in 2019. Poor guy fell backwards down the basement stairs and died at 92. Isn't your dad 92?
Yeah, my dad's 92. Who's he talking about?
Yeah. He was talking about his mom's cousin.
Wow. You know, it's my dad said he's losing his equilibrium a little bit. You know, sometimes when he walks. Maybe I don't know.
Gotta watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe
his mother lived to 95. His uncles lived to 90. You know, my mother. Yeah, it's funny because his you know, my dad. I don't know if I told you, he had back in the early 80s. He saw his great uncle, his uncle in the mirror. It was mad at my dad. He saw his face every week, and he asked him, "Why are you mad?" He said, "Take me out of the ground and put me in the wall with everybody else." I swear to God, ask my dad next time he comes on. They dug up the casket. Now he was buried about 6 years. Dug it up, put it in the wall, up high in the mausoleum. So they dug him out. They had to buy, who knows, probably 10, 12,000 back then. And he didn't see him no more. He saw his face in the mirror. I said, "Dad, you sure it wasn't a hangover from all the Bacardis or the vodkas maybe?" He goes, "No, I saw it in the mirror." And that's the guy, my dad took him on his honeymoon. My mother, honeymoon, because they were poor people. So on his honeymoon, he's driving. He says, "I'm going to take my uncle with me." He helped my mother out. You know,
who Monsters Chronicles was talking about.
Oh, Joe Gerard.
Yeah, that's
Joe,
his.
Well, you're related.
Family.
Well, Guinness World Records. He's number one salesman in the world. Record. Nobody's ever beaten it. That's a fact. He's legendary. He's actually legendary in the automobile business from the 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, I think. When I met him, I was 23. He had to be in his 60s, late 50s, 60s, something like that. And I think he was retired. But he got so big. I bet you he made back then, he was making $250,000 a year back in the 70s selling cars.
That was good money. George Wilson says, I remember.
Ed Fanning, yeah.
Yeah. He let me drive the front door on a test drive. I used to own he used to have his own dealership.
Yeah, that's right. Ed Fanning Chevrolet. That's right. His family. And he had white hair. Yes, he had white hair. A young guy that had white hair, pitch white hair. Ed Fanning, nice guy. Nice guy. You know, my dad hired everybody, it didn't matter. Everybody could sell cars. Restaurant guys. Real name was Gerard. Yeah, Joe Gerard. Girardi.
Monster Chronicle says his last name was Girardi.
Joe Gerard was his name.
Girardi? Italian?
Yeah, he was Italian, I think. French, maybe?
Yeah. He would know. This guy, he vets people that, are bullshitters on YouTube that come out and say things. He runs some real good videos, man. He calls them out.
Yeah, that's why I always say, Google this, Google that, But Joe Gerard was, Red, when I went to that school, the only thing I liked about it, it was simple stuff, basic stuff on reading the statement. What I liked about it was Windsor, Canada, going right over there, the strip clubs.
Windsor, Ontario.
Windsor. So we went there at night. This guy from Texas, he was my age, wealthy guy, but rude. His father's a cowboy. They had the biggest limousine. Who knows how many dealerships he had. He had a pocket full of money, and he was belligerent. He goes, "Come on, Italian, you're going with me. You wise guys from Chicago." Of course, he's racist, Texan to Italian. To him, that's I'm like a ornament or something. Because and he dragged me. I did like it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like he pulled my hair. I did like going to strip clubs over there, right over this thing. It wasn't far. I did enjoy it. So, and he was belligerent. I go, "Do you work at all?" And I said, "Why are you even coming here?" He goes, "Because when the new dealerships we get, I'm going to put in my name. So, they have to get approved." And I said, that's when Chevrolet GM was changing. But we get back to electric cars before we're done for the day. My opinion about electric cars is they're going to have to have a percentage of their vehicles have to be electric cars. If it's half of the vehicles.
I hate them. You know why? You can only go like 200 miles, 225 miles, and that's it. And then you got to watch your speed, how much electricity you use.
But guess what? The Chevy Volt, they stopped it. I think they're not going to make it anymore. It was just not. And they are improving the batteries, and they are getting the better. I mean, it's 300 miles now. They say 300. What is this?
Only some cars.
He was Italian. How about that, Joe? Okay.
This guy would know.
Yeah, he had a good life. Wow. Yeah, he's famous, and he wrote that book. I mean, it was that book sold a lot. I got him. I got the book. I had the book. He signed it. Each one got a signature, a picture, of that book. I thought that he came as a special guest for the week. GM brought that guy down there for special guests. And how, as an individual salesman, how do you go far and above the dealership? What do you do as a person that works there? What it takes? And this guy had every trick and he was funny. Guy's waiting. I'm gonna save you another $100 for waiting an extra 15 minutes.
Do you remember Terry
Gliosi?
He worked in the
truck department. Yep. Truck department. Yeah, Terry.
Right.
Yeah, he worked for the truck department. Terry, short guy, Italian, black hair, silver. He was there for a long time. Terry Gliosi. She knows.
Yeah, she does.
I wonder if she knows. I'm sure some of these people saw me walking around there, but I worked at the Toyota store first, and then I worked at the Chevy store, and then I worked at the Cadillac store, the back of the Chevy store. But I liked. I mean, Chevy wasn't the greatest product. I'll get back to the question about electric cars. I get off of it. Okay, electric cars. I think Volkswagen made the commitment. They want to have it 100%. They're committed in United States. But my opinion, I think they're still going to have a percentage gas cars, the sports cars. Still, I just think the technology is it's a lot of money, and the cars are bland looking. They're not that, as far as right now. They can only do so much with the aerodynamics on them, right? It's got to be like a certain, and I don't understand it. Like they can't have it really cool looking. I don't know how that works. Maybe and then I think what will happen is you won't see dealerships anymore. I would say 50 years from now, I would say next 10 to 15 years, you'll see dealer points closing, and you'll see service centers from the manufacturer opening up with a showroom, and people could drop their cars off, but they want to get away.
Like Tesla.
Yeah. Well, Tesla's has some points now. They have some dealerships now out here, but they're like them basically. Not many, right? They have a couple, but I would say that it's over with because, as we talked about before, Red, this. We don't need distributors selling their cars anymore. Back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they put them in gas stations, right? And now it's changed. You can order it and have it shipped, even the cars.
Yeah.
So that's the future. And young kids don't want to hassle.
Are we going to be on again? When do you want to come on again?
It's up to you. I would like to come out. I feel like that's my training now. I would like to come out Fridays. Hey, Friday, if we wanted to, we do a little bit on Friday, you and I. But Monday for sure, I'm going to try to get somebody a surprise on here for Friday. But you would know by tomorrow, Red. By Wednesday, the latest. But maybe we do half-hour Fridays. How about that?
Okay.
We could do our Mondays or Tuesday, what we do on today, and do our half-hour Fridays. We call it half-hour Fridays, getting the weekend going, something like that. What do you think?
Okay. What?
I want to get the merch. I want to give away. I'm going to have some T-shirts made, and I'll let you look at them. What you think? And we'll give them away.
I prefer Wednesdays.
No, Wednesdays are fine. Wednesdays. What are we now? We're usually on. Yeah, let's do Wednesdays because it's middle of the week. So we can do one Wednesday.
Wednesday will be 2 days.
Yeah, but then the following week, next Wednesday, right? Then we'll do it Wednesday, right? Or you want Tuesday? Okay. I can do both. I hope to God one day that we get this thing on. I have a feeling we are because we unnerved the bad, the good, and the ugly. We did. There's some good comments, bad comments, ugly comments. But I agree with them. If I know better, you'd think I was on crack, speed. It's true. Wednesday.
Scott says Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday. Okay, listen, Scott, you're right. Wednesday. Listen. Now that we came on time today, first time ever that we actually were exactly 4:00. I talked slower. That means we're 2 hours into the program just by me talking slower, as you can see. And I'm not on Valium. I'm not on benzos to calm down. To see, I can do it normally. It's called.
The crowd's here. He finally got here. Damn, sorry I'm late. He's one of my regular. He's a prescriber. He prescribes to the channel.
Yeah, well, like I said, you got it's a cult.
Friday night football.
Yeah, but you have a cult going on, Red. You have a cult. You have a cult. I'm not saying a bad one. People, their psychology. I know what you do to them. You have the savant, this little. You're like you fit in where nobody else fits in. No, you fit in where nobody else fits in. No, but okay, yes, that's for sure, obviously. But you have that little area where you fit in. People just. You know what I mean? For the guy that works, you're in with him for life. With you. You're the kind of guy, when you're in with him.
Joe is naturally high. High.
But that's true. That's true. Listen, before I done for the day, listen, when I got blamed for when I was younger, I can understand that. That's what people talk about. But I got blamed for stealing fucking $40 million for that was ridiculous. And they talked about it was drugs. It was never drugs, but it was gambling, and he portrayed himself as gambling. But they talk about drugs, and that's wrong. And nobody knows this, Red. I didn't tell you this. There was 4 other dealers that they did investigations too. They don't talk about those. It's us that bought cars. Arrow Chevrolet traded cocaine and for a down payment. He asked me, hey, I could trade you for a down payment. I said, I don't fuck with that shit. Leave it. Stop mentioning that. Okay. But the dealer did take that.
Red, we're comparing Joe C. to Gummer. That's somebody he's critiquing all the time for being a fraud.
Who's Gummer?
That's a compliment, Joe. That's a compliment.
Oh. You know, the thing about it is, Red, you know, you have to, the whole thing about this show is, and maybe your fans or your members or your, what do I call them, your prescribers,
Viewers,
I think
my viewers,
whatever you want to call them, loyalists, whatever it is. I would say this, you know, if they really didn't want me, you would get a little, they would come on me hard. If they did. Yeah, you have your few. I expect that.
Get rid of them.
You know, I like it.
We're an hour and 10 minutes in.
You're right. All right. Well, anyways, thank you, everybody. Then when's our next view then? Will be this Wednesday, right?
If you want to do it this Wednesday, there'll be
yeah, for sure. I told you before I hang up, I want to give some t-shirts away. I'm gonna let you look at the design. I'm gonna give them free. I'll ship them out to, you know, this to start with. Maybe one, you know, I have to show you design, how you want it. And then I'll get printed 10 up just to, you know, give away, for whatever. It'll be fun, you know, and I'll ship them out. Maybe 1, 2. If you're a woman, you get it for nothing. No, I'm joking. But we can have any question of the, wait, who has the best question of the day for mobsters, something like that. And they get the t-shirt. We'll post it. Well, it's something funny. Or I give a Solozzi. I can give them. I got a lot of memorabilia from Solozzi back in the day. That I don't know. I don't want that shit. But I mean, there are some stuff here. You know, I mean, I had Elvis stuff here. It's all gone. All right, I'll let you guys go. Thanks, Red, and I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. And as a great Elvis said,
of the videotapes and Wemette's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.
I know. I'm looking at it. I played the outro, and I didn't outcast us. I didn't take us out. I want to thank you all for stopping by. I especially want to thank people who prescribe to the channel. They actually joined the channel, and all the rest of you folks. You're great, and it's good to see you. And I've got some other videos coming out too. I've got another one coming out tomorrow on a personal thing that happened with Burger King. So sorry about the outro. Sorry about everything else. Trying to keep it all together. Hi, Philip Wright. Good to see you, buddy. Jim Nafici. Yes, thank you for telling me. And thank you, folks, for stopping by. God bless you.